And welcome back to the show. Well, Kyle is with me again now, and we're going to take a look at a movie that is opening on New Year's Day right around Australia. It is called Next Goal Wins, and it is the brand new film from Taika Waititi. And this is a little bit of an interesting film because it does have a very strong Australian connection. Because, of course, you might remember years and years ago, the Socceroos played American Samoa in a World Cup qualifier and ended up breaking the record of the most number of goals kicked in a game. I believe Archie Thompson also captured the record of the most number of goals kicked by an individual in a World Cup qualifier, as well as Australia beat American Samoa 31-0. Now, I suppose with here in Australia, we kind of celebrated that win, but what we didn't realize was the impact that it had on the players who were playing for American Samoa. Because let's be honest, this is an island that doesn't even have the population of one of our capital cities. In fact, it would struggle to fill a lot of our regional cities. So Taika Waititi has actually taken a look at what happened after that event, in that he tells the story of a man called Michael Rogan, played by Michael Fassbender here, and looks at how he ended up becoming the coach of American Samoa after all of this. Because, of course, American Samoa comes underneath the American Federation of Football because it's technically an American territory. So they actually got Thomas Rongan, played by Michael Fassbender, to travel to American Samoa to be the coach. Now, it's not something that he wants to do. He basically finds himself fired from his previous post because of his temper and his anger, which quite often gets in the way of him. So he arrives in American Samoa in a pretty bad mood, but he's welcomed by Tavita, played by Oscar Kitley, who is the boss of the American Samoa Football Federation. And he's excited about having a coach of the caliber of Thomas come to his country. However, Thomas soon learns that you use the term ragtag bunch of players loosely normally, but that is exactly what describes the American Samoa soccer team. None of these guys are full time. Most of them work as police officers or as waitresses and things like that. So when Tavita and Thomas first start working together, they kind of butt heads, because also around is Ace, played by David Fain, who is the mild mannered, low spoken ex coach of the team. Now, soon, Thomas starts to realize just what a job it's going to be to try and get this team to kick at least one goal, which is the kind of the goal that he's been given to achieve. When he soon realizes that he's going to have to work with people like Jaya, who is a transitioning from male to female soccer player, played here by Kay Mana, and a bunch of other people who are not full-time soccer players like he is used to. So, mate, I know you're like me. Soccer's probably not a sport that is high on your radar, but what did you think of Next Goal Wins?
Yeah, here's the thing. That's the whole record thing, the 31-0 Aussie victory. I don't know if I'd ever heard of that. I mean, it was so far from my mind that I couldn't even remember it. So it was kind of news to me when I saw that in the film. Uh, I think it was an interesting film. I'm a fan of Waititi's some of his other movies, but obviously he is a filmmaker that leans heavily onto comedy and satire and almost to the degree that it kind of takes away from uh drama or any kind of
Yeah.
tension in some of his films. And it's worked. I mean, his mixture has worked in the past. Like Hunt for the Wilder People was amazing. A Boy was amazing. Of course, Jojo Rabbit won him an Oscar. But I feel like this movie is kind of, while he's been on his victory lap, and even though it does kind of come back to his Polynesian heritage, I I think that he is at his best when he's making a film about something that really means something to him. If it's uh if it's like an MCU film or something like that, then you probably get a kind of a lesser kind of film. And I don't get watching this movie. I never got the idea that Taika really is a fan of soccer, or that he even really wanted to make this movie in particular. Because there's very little in the way of an actual story, and the actual character Thomas Rongen, played by Michael Fassbender, uh, the way he's introduced, and even though he is clearly the main character, just the way that his story is delivered, I never really cared about him. Like,
Yeah.
they kind of try to pull. He tries to pull like a late in the game kind of dramatic twist, but it was something that I'd already seen. Like, I'd already predicted 20 minutes into the movie. It's like, yeah, this is going to be like the twist about his character. Um, I think the big problem with this movie was that Taker just didn't take it seriously, and I mean, he could have had the comedy in it, but I think it says a lot when his character is the first Taika Waititi playing kind of a weird over the top American Samoan priest in the film. His character is the first thing that you see on screen, and it already feels out of place in the movie. You haven't seen anything else in the movie, but his character already feels out of place, and it feels, yeah, that was kind of his problem. It's a pity because the rest of the team, I really like. They're very endearing. There's just something very you can't help but smile at how kind of innocent and friendly all the characters in the film are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that lack of a serious focus in the movie was really a happener for it. What did you think of it, David?
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Waititi. I know that. Like, I love Jojo Rabbit. In fact, I think it was my movie of the year that it came out. But he's done other stuff that frustrates me as well. Like, I've despised his two Thor films,
Mm.
because I always feel like he's a director that looks for comedy in something that shouldn't be there. And yeah, the black comedy of Jojo Rabbit worked, but to me, the comedy in the Thor films didn't work. And even here, like, Watiti plays this character that ends up being the narrator, an American Samoan priest in this film. And to me, that character doesn't need to be there. Like, there's other characters in this that for me would have made better narrators. People like yeah, like the head of the American Samoan Football Federation, Tavita. He would have made a good narrator, or the former coach Ace. Um, this is also a film where I actually think that the most interesting character of the entire film is in some ways overlooked, because you've got this fascinating character from World Cup soccer history where Jaya was is a real person. Like, if you watch this film and you're one of those people that thinks that they've inserted that character in there to try and to make a more woke storyline or something like that, you're wrong. That character of Jaya actually did exist. And like, even that would have made a fantastic film. In fact, I could pretty much guarantee if you'd made this movie a serious drama revolving around the character of Jaya and what was going through their mind during this time, you would probably have an Oscar film on your hands, because it is such a fascinating story. But Watiti kind of treats that like, yeah, that's a story. I don't know. Like, I was thinking about it the other day. With that character being there, it would be like someone like Watiti shooting like a news story and missing the main focus of the story, because you've also got another character in here that would have been perfect to have had it from his point of view, the goalkeeper that
Yeah.
let those 31 goals past when they played Australia. You've got a character there that walked away from the game after that happened and then came back because of this coach. there's two characters there that would have made much better storytellers than a priest that's really got nothing to do with um, the soccer team. I mean, it would have been a very different story if that character had been the team's chaplain or something like that. But outside of his narration pieces, he only appears in one scene that's not even an important scene of the film. So yeah, I don't know. I just get this feeling that Watiti keeps on doing things like that. And someone said to me the other day, there's always like really basic mistakes in Waiki Taidi's films that shouldn't be there. And there's a classic case in this one, in that they've got Michael Fassbender's character singing the song Chandelier as he's driving his car along. Well, this film is set in 2011, and that song came out in 2014. Um, like, filmmakers shouldn't be making those kinds of mistakes. Like, yeah, I mean, if the guy said, "Oh, I was driving along and singing a song," and you can't get the rights to that song, well, try and at least get another song that came out in 2011 or was out at that time. Like that's a rookie mistake for a filmmaker to make. So look, yeah, that was the bit that annoyed me the most. I think if this had just been a simple like champions kind of a story, the with the Mighty Ducks kind of thing. If it had worked like that, I think this film could have worked. But I think with Watiti trying too hard to find the comedy in this story, it doesn't quite work. And uh, keeping in mind, I watched this film within a couple of days of watching Uproar, which is the really good rugby league film that's out at the moment, and The Boys in the Boat, which is George Clooney's rowing film. So I'd seen two pretty good sports films and then this. So yeah, look, I just think that there's the normal Watiti kind of issue with this film in that he looks for comedy somewhere where it shouldn't be.
Yeah, uh, especially because this is in some ways like a film version of a documentary from 2014.
Yeah,
Next Score Wins, the same name, and yeah, from all accounts, that documentary, it seems I do wish I had gotten a chance to watch this documentary after seeing the movie. Because from all accounts, it does seem to be like a really good, well-made movie that is really heartwarming and inspiring, and it covers all of these characters that we're saying. There's like we wish that they were covered better in the film. It covers all their real life counterparts with the respect that we wish that they were given in the film. I agree. The Jaya Sayula, uh, the first transgender player to compete in FIFA. Yeah, like that, her whole thing of being a fiend. It's this whole thing for in Samoan culture, like that there is this third gender in Samoan culture, and the film just kind of glosses over it. It only it they mention it in just dialogue one time and then never mention it again. That it is it is a very different thing to the West. Like the the acceptance of it is something very different.
yeah,
And yeah, that would have been an interesting thing to look at. The film tries to tackle it at certain times, but as I say, because the movie is so comedic and it's so wacky and silly, it feels completely out of place in the movie. And the same thing as for the goalie character, who unfortunately I've lost track of his name, the actual player. They mentioned in the movie that, well, again, just once they mentioned in the movie, kind of as in passing, it's like, yeah, he let in 31 goals, but he stopped 60. And that's actually such a much more positive and inspiring way to look at things. And the movie just doesn't it's not that it doesn't acknowledge it because the line is in there, but it doesn't put the emphasis on it that it should, because they're too
yeah.
he's in too much of a hurry to get to the next gag or the next joke. Like, oh, you're the best football player in American Samoa. Oh, I let in 31 goals. So yeah, well, like I said, you're the best player. And it's like he's in such a hurry to get to the joke that he loses track of the actual soul of the film. And yeah, it makes for a much weaker uh film version of this true life story because of it.
Yeah, even like the Australian characters that
Mm.
you see in this as well, because they've got two Australian characters in there, played by Luke Hemsworth and this is
Angus
really bad,
Sampson.
Angus Sampson, and it's like they couldn't even give them any credit because if anyone
Mm.
knows our Australian Socceroos, they're nothing like our AFL footballers or our rugby league players that are kind of like a lot of you've got that stereotype around rugby league players where they're like boozed up bogans like away from the field. Our soccer players are nothing like that. Like our soccer players are guys that spend time playing in Europe and stuff like that. They're kind of guys that get around in Armani suits and stuff like that. But it's like he has these two Australian characters which um, thankfully, probably or else he would be sued. He hasn't given him any Socceroos names. Like he hasn't gone, oh, this is Archie Thompson or this is Harry
Yeah.
Kewell or anything like that. He's just given him two like kind of bogan names. But any Aussie's going to watch that or any soccer fan, I reckon even like European soccer fans are going to watch that and go, that's not what Archie Thompson or Harry Kewell are like.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And I know that there was some stuff around at that time where they were saying that perhaps the Aussies could have kind of done a little bit of a mercy rule because of what was happening to American Samoa. And I guess looking back, some of our Socceroos might think that, like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have like kept going, like with the massacre. It's like I think you summed it up the other day, mate, when you said it's like that line, he's already dead, like leave him alone. But I don't think any Aussies ever went across to American Samoa to the next tournament and kind of rubbed it in. Like it's
No.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
know that. Sorry, I know it's a gag in the film, but like like everything is treated as a gag. But as you say, like it doesn't reflect where it's like a really mean-spirited kind of way of portraying like Aussies, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And like when you look in cinema in like the cinematic universe at the moment, you wouldn't get away with portraying a lot of countries or a lot of groups of people in that light.
Hmm.
Like that's borderline going back to the kind of stuff that you would have seen on full frontal, like almost with
Yeah,
the Mahatma Coat kind of send ups of Indian sports people and stuff like that. Like it's yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I guess people like watching it will be like, oh no, Australians can take humor kind of thing. But
yeah,
I actually think it's kind of unfair to the Socceroos to kind of suggest that they then went to another tournament and made fun of the Samoans at that
yeah.
tournament. So yeah,
The same as well later on with the Tongan team that they eventually do go up against. Like
yeah,
they're portrayed, if anything, they're portrayed not even in this in really the same humorous light. Like they are really portrayed as being like bigoted and transphobic and all this stuff. And it's like that's even worse. And it's yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's it's not funny. I don't know. It's like it's trying to put humor where there shouldn't be humor, and it's putting serious stuff in there that really
yeah.
doesn't belong.
I mean, if someone from another country or another team did say something transphobic to JR,
Mm,
then yeah, you could have done that in a really serious light because from the way that it's portrayed in the film, if something like that had have happened, I would have thought that the coach and the teammates would have come in pretty quickly. So
mm,
yeah, I mean, if something did happen like that, then by all means show it, but probably don't show it as a joke. Show it more as a as an issue in
mm.
modern day sport where something like that could actually happen. But yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
better wrap it up. So what are you
Yeah.
gonna give this one out of five, mate?
Yeah, it's tricky. I think, jeez. I'm gonna give this 2.5 out of 5. Because I did find myself laughing like all the way through it. Like Taika Waititi, he is a funny guy, and the characters in the film are, well, the ancillary characters can be funny, they can be amusing, but it just really fails to develop as an actual story. And yeah, just the complete poor focus of the plot. Like they could have focused on some completely different. And as you say, they would be looking at an Oscar contender right now. But yeah, instead we just got kind of a uh silly American Samoan fish out of water kind of story. So yeah, 2.5 out of 5, 2.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5. I thought there was some parts I did like. I'd really liked Oscar Kitley's acting.
Mm.
I thought Michael Fassbender did a good job as well. And again, I think he would have been another actor that would have really suited this if it had been a drama. Like
Yeah.
um I think he would have relished in that kind of role. I know that there was some issues there with casting as well, because of course Armie Hammer was supposed to play
Yeah.
the role that Will Arnett ends up playing, and
Yeah.
they
Had
ended
to
up having to
reshoot.
cut him from the film and reshoot. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just think this is a film that would have been a lot better off as a drama and not a comedy. So I have to judge it on what's portrayed to me as a comedy. But yeah, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5, and Kyle gave it 2.5 out of 5. That is Next Goal Wins, which is opening on New Year's Day as a general release right around Australia. And we'll be back on the show in just a moment.